No.
Hey, here we go. We're live. He nipped off at the wrong time there, didn't he? Blimey.
Are we live?
I tell you what, people, Meredith is not earning his money today. He is running around like a blue well, I can't even say that, can I? He's running around like a blue bottle. There you go. We are in all sorts of trouble today. And it's a crucial show today. It's a crucial show because it's
a big deal. Evening. How are you? You all right?
Yeah, right on time. There she is.
I know. One day you're going to come in here before we start and then we know we're late.
Yeah. And one day I'm going to be in that room live and I'll surprise her because I'll be in the bin. And when she comes to I'll jump out.
Get in the bin, Dom.
Yeah, that's about all I'm good for today. So welcome everyone.
That's right.
This is session 9.
Yeah, I know. They've flown, haven't they? They've really flown. Yeah. I feel like we haven't done anything yet. So I
feel like I've been through therapy.
You're gonna need therapy.
So what's on the agenda today, please?
Yeah, we're dreamweavering today. So yeah, we can see hi Annette, how are you? Yeah.
Export the website. All right, Annette.
Yeah.
It's 1 minute 27 in.
There's no preamble with Annette. She's like, come on, cut to the chase.
I know. Blimey.
Yeah, can we go over to save, export the website? Yeah, we're going to look at that. We're going to do a lot today on the website. And like I said last week, I do enjoy creating Bootstrap websites. They are fun to make. So if we pop over to the slides, there we are.
Do you know what? I feel like I need to tell everyone I have to pop off in 10 minutes because someone let me down for a 4 o'clock session. So I'm not going to be here to see this magic.
Hey, and it wasn't me. It wasn't me that let you down. What are the odds of that?
No, for once. And so yeah, I am. I mean, maybe I'll just leave you to it now, unless you want me to just steady the ship at the start.
I think the ship is sailing smoothly. I mean, it's nice of you to give us a warning. You're going to leave because you just toddled off last week.
Well, I think that was called kicking the router.
I watched that back. You could see me flapping when I realized you weren't there anymore.
I couldn't understand why it didn't actually. It didn't stop.
I was like, Dom.
I don't understand why the whole live stream didn't stop because you weren't the co-host at that time.
It's because you're not the center of the universe. That's why. So
there is that.
Yeah. No, that was pretty good that it carried on without the host. Yeah,
I was pretty lucky actually because I was there were a few expletives down this end.
I bet.
Anyway, enough of this nonsense.
So are you going to go now? Are you?
Oh. Yeah, I'll go now because I've got stuff to do. I've got to get a presentation sorted before it kicks off. Enjoy everyone, and I will watch it back. And if there's any problems, you just email me direct. All right, email me direct, and I'll sort it out. Don't you worry about that. Right, enjoy, and pronounce that and not white dad as well.
Hey, diolch, Dom. Thanks for that.
You're welcome, man.
See you on the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So remember, guys, we're looking at our fake scenario here. So this is Camp Cymru. So through this whole series of videos, we haven't been using the live scenarios from WJC. Others you get a slap on the wrists and a rap on the knuckles. So we've just made this one up. Okay, so Camp Cymru, and that's what we're going to be doing for the website today. Let's just have a quick look at what WJC have actually put in the scenario itself in regards to the website. Now, it's very specific. Hang on, let me get my teeth in. It's very specific, isn't it? The website requirements. So let's have a quick look here. First bullet point there, your website must consist of at least 3 pages. Well, to be honest with you, every example I've done and seen has been exactly 3 pages. Maybe you could do an extra one. Interesting to know, you guys who are watching, if you've done more than 3 pages. I haven't with my kids. We've all done 3. But maybe that's something to look at in the future. Yeah, nice one, Andy. Bye, Dom. See you next week. Cheers for that. So also any images that we put in must be documented in the assets log. And remember that as well. The assets log is a tasty one, isn't it? that's something we can maybe have a look at later on. And good. If you've got time to leave comments, Dom, you could stay in the live stream, not pop little nasty things up like that. Right then, and the third bullet point, the website should contain no horizontal scrolling and must include accessibility features. Now, this is the main reason why I decided, okay, hang on, let's build a Bootstrap website. Because a Bootstrap website, if you're not familiar with it, automatically is responsive. Now, that's obviously the issue with building websites in a traditional way with maybe tables, which is kind of the example that I've seen a lot of people doing, is if you've got a fixed width table, then obviously once you zoom in, then you've got things popping off the side of the screen, and then you've got horizontal scrolling, which is quite the no-no really, isn't it? So I thought, right, well, if we make a Bootstrap website that just immediately solves that issue in one. The fourth bullet point, the website must be organized hierarchically. Oof, didn't expect to say that the first attempt. I.e., you must not be able to directly access every page from every other page. So if that sounds confusing, basically that's all that means is that if we've got a 3-page website, that's all we need to do is make sure that 2 of those pages are in the nav bar. Okay, so in your navigation bar at the top of your web page, that 2 of those pages have got links in the nav bar, and that the 3rd page can only be accessed by clicking on a link in one of the other 2 pages. Okay. Now I don't know if I explained that very well, but we'll see it when we go through it in practice. One page must contain either the game or the animation. So obviously we've been doing the animation in this series. So obviously one page has to have the animation, and then another page has to have links to all the documents in the evidence folder. Okay. So if I shift on again, this is the folder structure. Now, this got handed out in one of the earlier sessions. Now, what I've done is I've put this in this week's folder as well. Okay. Save you having to go get your wellies on and go looking for the last which session it was. So I've got this in this week's folder as well. So this is how you should have your folders set out before you begin. And as we'll see, it's really important to have that done in advance. Okay. Now then, we'll pop forward. Okay, so what do you need to do before starting on Dreamweaver? Okay, now then, here's what I would say. Some of them you really have to do them before you get started in Dreamweaver, and then maybe not all of them are absolutely vital. Okay, first thing, you have to get your folder structure set up. So that previous slide with the folder structure, before you touch Dreamweaver, you need to have your folders set up exactly like that. Okay, because right at the beginning of using Dreamweaver, that's the first thing you do. You set up a site and you point your site to a folder. Okay, so if that folder doesn't exist, then you're already in a mess, aren't you? Okay, so you need to have set up your folders. So go into your computer's file browser, set up your folder structure as in that diagram before you get started. Okay, the next one across the top there, 3 images or more in the assets folder. Now, this isn't vital, but I get my kids to, right, we're going to 3 pages, so I want you to have at least 3 images. Most of them just get 3, 1 per page. Okay, and we use websites like Unsplash or Pixabay to download those. And they obviously need to be relevant to the website. And that's what I really like about using these images, is they're a really good visual cue to the students which page they're working on at the moment. Because if web pages are a bit too similar, I find anyway, that my students, they start editing something in the wrong place, or I've just saved this over the other web page, and you get into that kind of mess. So once you've got 3 distinct different images, 1 to each page, it helps them to know where they are. Okay, so that's why I kind of think it's important. It's a really good visual cue. Now, the bottom left, website logo in an assets folder. Now, again, okay, as I say there, now I don't know how easy you can read that because it isn't the greatest contrast, is it? But it says it's not stated anywhere in the spec or in the guidance or in the scenarios. So a logo for the website or in the animation isn't mentioned anywhere at all. But a website has to have a logo, right? I would say. It doesn't have to, but I think it definitely, if we're going to go for that professional level again, that elusive kind of top band, I think a logo helps us to get there. And again, the logo, I would definitely incorporate the logo into the animation as well. We didn't in the session so far, but that's definitely something we're going to be circling back around to. Okay, so obviously, if we're going to have the logo, we want that at the beginning, and that's also in the assets folder. And then the final thing here is text for each page prepared on a doc. So when they're working on Dreamweaver, that's not the right time to be actually scratching their heads and thinking, okay, what am I going to write on my homepage? Okay, because that is, you know, a one-way street to bad text and errors and spelling mistakes and it all being a bit too scant and thin on the ground. So I always get them to prepare the text for each page in a Word doc or, if, you know, on a Google Doc or a Word doc beforehand. And then when you're on Dreamweaver, that's all they should be doing in terms of text is copying and pasting from that doc straight onto their page. They shouldn't be writing copy straight onto Dreamweaver. Okay, cool. Now then, that's the last slide we got there. Okay, so we're going to jump over to Dreamweaver now. Now, because Dom's not here and I'm running the stream, we're going to have a few moments where you're going to see there we are, that kind of thing happening. Okay, so you can see that kind of mirror thing going on because I'm running all this off one screen now. So I can't actually see you. Okay, that's so if I move to the side, I'll be popping back to see if we've got any comments, that kind of thing. But sorry if the stream is a bit messy. It's because I'm flying solo and I'm doing it on one screen. Okay, cool. So here we are. We're on Dreamweaver, and I'm going to pop into my folders here. Now, if you remember, back on one of the first sessions for Unit 2, I think it was the second session in Unit 2, we spoke about setting up the folder structure. So here's mine here. Okay, got my root, then evidence. Okay, and I got subfolders in there. There we go. And then my website. I've got 3 subfolders in there. That's exactly as it is in that folder structure PDF that's shared with you. Okay. Now then, in my assets folder, I've got those things that I just mentioned that you need on the slides earlier. Okay. So I've got a super quick logo that I made 5 minutes ago before coming live on here because I remembered I need one. So here's my Camp Cymru logo. Okay, as a PNG with no background. And then I've got 3 images, 1, 2, 3, that I downloaded from Unsplash. Again, yeah, a minute before the live stream started. Okay, so I got the 3 images ready to go on my web pages. Okie dokie. Now then, let's get started then. So over in Dreamweaver now, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a site. We're going to point the site to the root folder here. So here's the Dreamweaver homepage, okay? And I'm just going to click on the quick start menu on the left-hand side, okay? Now, if you're not already on it, but I was already on it anyway. So the quick start menu on the left-hand side. And in the quick start menu, we need to set up the website. So I'm going to go down to site setup here, okay? I'm going to click on there. Okie dokie. Now then, what's the site name? Well, the site name is Camp Cymru. Okay. And now I'm going to choose where I want to point this website to, which folder. Where's it all going to go? So it's going to go on my device. It's going to go in the Documents folder where I've got my DigiTech Live folder. And here we go. Here's my Unit 2 folder. And there's my root. Okay, so I'm not going into the root. I'm choosing the root as the site setup folder for my website. Okay. And then I'm just going to click choose. I think on a PC that says select folder. Okay. So I've clicked choose. So that's now pointing to the correct folder. And I'm going to click save. Okay. Now then, it doesn't look like much has happened, does it? But over on the right-hand side, you'll see now under files, you've got the name of your website here. So there's my Camp Cymru. Okay. Oh, there it is. Here's my Camp Cymru there. And you can already see that it's pointed and it's showing me my website subfolder. And these are the subfolders. Yeah, so these are the folders that I've created. And there they are. There are my 3 hastily downloaded images. There's the logo. Okay, so you can see that it's really important to set up your folder structure before stepping into Dreamweaver, because immediately you need it, don't you? Straight away here now, we need to have our folders. Okay, so there we are, website and evidence sorted. Okay, I'm just going to pop back over now to the stream and just check if we've got any comments. So just if anybody has been leaving comments, I'm not ignoring you, okay? I can't see the comments whilst I'm on the screen, okay? So I've just popped back. So if anybody has got any questions so far about setting up the site, just pop it on now. Nobody's asked anything so far. If not, I'll jump back over to Dreamweaver and we'll crack on. Nope. Okay, cool. So I'll go back to my screen then. Okay, and then we'll get off the looking glass as soon as possible. There we go. Okay, so here we are. We're back on Dreamweaver. Now then, let's create our first web page. All right, and we're going to call this our template. This is going to be our base template that we're going to then copy to make the 3 web pages for our website. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to click on Create New on the dashboard. Okay, Create New. And it pops up this window, New Document. And we are creating a new document, and it is going to be a HTML document. It's going to be a web page. Now then, here you might have none selected for framework, but we are going to choose Bootstrap. Now, what Bootstrap does is it kind of preloads a load of CSS and a bit of HTML already on, which basically puts this framework in place, which means that your web page is going to be responsive, okay, and respond to the browser window size and zooming, etc. Now then, I think automatically this will be ticked. It'll say include a pre-built layout. I'm going to untick that. You don't want that to be ticked. If you leave that selected, it'll basically give you kind of a demo page, and you're like, oh, that sounds nice. But it's actually more trouble than it's worth getting rid of all the bits that you don't want off that page to get to where you want. You're better off starting from scratch. The demo pages are rammed with pretty much everything that's possible to have on a web page. And the ones we're building for this Unit 2 website are really very simple, okay? So just to recap, we're on Bootstrap. That says use existing, we just leave it on that. And then we untick that, deselect, include a pre-built layout. Okay, and I'm going to click create. And it's going to take me to a wonderful blank page. Okay, now when you get here, it'll probably be on split view. Okay, so up at the top, you've got 3 different views: code view, split view, live view. Okay, live view for you may say design. If you want to change, we're going to be using live view for this whole project. Okay, if you were not using Bootstrap, you'd probably have this on design view. But using Bootstrap, we need it to be on live view for the whole project. Okay, so obviously code view just shows you all your code. So you can see here now, this is what, going with that Bootstrap framework, it's put some stuff in place for us here, okay? So it's not just empty. Split view shows you a live view at the top, split and the code at the bottom. and then live view is just the live view. And for most of the time, we'll be just in live view, and we'll occasionally go into split view to change HTML for certain things here and there. Okay, but most of the time we're going to be on live view. The only other thing that you'll have different on your view to me is down the bottom here, I've got the properties panel, and it's kind of docked there at the bottom. So let me get rid of it. Here we go. Because you need the properties panel all of the time. We use this a load. Okay, it's kind of where we do most of our changing stuff. So I'll just close it. So if I go to window at the top, window, and untick properties, that's gone. So if you don't have your properties panel at the bottom, which you probably don't, what you need to do is go to window, like I just did, and click on properties. Okay, and it's going to put it slap bang in the middle of your page, which is really not useful, is it? So what you want to do is dock it to the bottom. Now, that's not just dragging it down to the bottom. If you drag all the way to the bottom of your screen kind of glows blue. There we are. Can you see that it's just glowing blue at the bottom? That means it's ready to dock. So if I keep dragging down, there we are. It's glowing blue. If I let it go there now, it's going to dock on the bottom, which is tidier than having it floating over your screen. All right, I'll pop back over. If anybody's got a question, now's a good time to pop it in the chat. No, okay, no questions so far. That's fine. Please remember, if you do have any questions, pop them in. I am keeping an eye on the chat here, and it's nice to know that you're all with me. Oh, hi. Got a question just come in here. Let's have a look. So if a student has set up their website without using the Bootstrap, is there a way it can be added later? Short answer, no. But it depends. Complicated answer, not complicated answer. It's not that complicated. It's not a huge job to, because the Bootstrap is the framework for the web page itself. So it's not specifically for the whole website. So if you've already got, say, 3 web pages and they're in standard HTML, just kind of vanilla HTML, what you could do if you want to do this is you could just create a new HTML document. Sorry, I couldn't speak there. Create a new HTML document, and then use Bootstrap on that new one, set it up exactly as I just went over now. And then it's really simple to just copy and paste stuff over. Now, I personally would probably tell you not to do that this year, because, you know, I think the examples that we see of the website, they're not done in Bootstrap, and they do have horizontal scrolling, like in the exemplar. And they still achieve, you know, good marks. So I don't know if it would be worth a heartache really to do that unless you're mad keen on doing it. But yeah, really the process of creating the website is super quick. I think of everything in Unit 2, I think making the actual website with Bootstrap was one of the easiest things. It took about the spreadsheet task in Excel has taken me way longer than getting the Bootstrap. I think I did the Bootstrap website in 2 lessons, whereas the spreadsheet is like trying to pin jelly to the wall. Anyway, right. So we'll pop back over then. Okay. So I need to click here, and there we go. Right then. So here we are. Here's my blank Bootstrap page. Okay, I haven't saved it yet. It is called Untitled 1. So seeing as I'm talking about that, I may as well save it. I usually forget to save it and then save it later on. But as soon as we're there, let's just start with some good practice and save it. So I'm going to save this as template. Okay, so I'm going to go File, Save. Okay, and it's on a Mac, it's already put that .html in. On my PC, you don't need to type .html in. It won't put it in, but it will save it as a HTML document. Obviously, it depends whether your file browser is set up to show file extensions or not. But if it's not popping .html in there, I would try saving it without adding the extension. Okay, so I'm going to call this template. There we are, and I want this to go into my HTML folder. So to do that, I go into my root, go into my website subfolder underneath root, and then I got HTML files, and it's going in here. Okay, let me click save. There we are, and that now we can see is saved in there. Okay, let's get started then. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a navigation bar to my page. Okay, so you can see we've got this kind of body here. We've got this kind of blue rectangle in here. So to add a navigation bar, we're going to go over to the top right and we're going to click insert. Okay, now we're not going to use standard HTML here. We're using Bootstrap. So I'm going to drop that drop-down menu down and I'm going to choose Bootstrap Components. Now in here, if you scroll down to the fourth set of components, so you see we've got a set here, set here, set here, and then the fourth set, then you'll see navbar. Okay, and if you click the drop down, you can choose, there's 4 different navbars. To be honest with you, the only one I've ever used really is the basic navbar. I mean, you could use the fix to top. I quite like those when you scroll down that it stays at the top. But my students aren't making web pages that are long enough for you to scroll down. You know, we can always see the bottom of the website. So I'm going to choose basic navbar there. Okay, and then it's going to pop it in. It's going to pop it in there for me. Okay. Now, if it didn't, maybe it's because you didn't have this this body container selected. So if I click away from that and try again, we'll see what happens. Navbar, basic navbar. No, it's popped it in. What if I'm inside that? Navbar, basic navbar. Oh, yeah. Okay. So when you add your navbar, it's just going to pop it in for you automatically. Okay. Now, what you'll see that isn't the normal way. When we add stuff into a page with Bootstrap on Dreamweaver, when we add them in, it'll ask us, we'll click on it and it'll ask us, okay, where do you want to put this? Okay. So obviously, because there was nothing on the page, it's not asking us, it's just plonking it in. Okay. So what do we like about this navbar and what do we want to get rid of? Well, I'm going to change this navbar title here to Cymru. Okay, and then we're going to have home. And then we've got a link, drop down, disabled. Okay, so we've got these things in here. And these are kind of example buttons that you could have in your navbar. So I don't want half of this stuff. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this link button. I'm going to delete the home button, delete the drop down, delete the disabled nav button. And then we're going to use this as a kind of our basic button that we're going to copy. Okay. Now then, let me introduce you to the DOM. No, not DOM trainer. He's gone. But this is the all caps DOM. DOM! So the DOM. Now, this is how you kind of select things a little bit more forensically, a little bit more careful. Okay, so if I click, for example, on this disabled here, it'll highlight it in the DOM. And if you look there, what it's actually highlighted is it's highlighted that button, but it hasn't highlighted that part of the navbar. So if I want to delete this disabled button, I actually need to select this entire nav item, this whole part of the navbar. So if I click on nav item in the DOM, okay, you can see it's highlighted it in blue there. So if you're deleting stuff, it's always handy to keep an eye on your DOM to make sure that you're deleting the whole thing you want to delete, not just maybe the text box from within that link, if you know what I mean. That's just going to leave you with some messy code. Okay, so there it is there. I want to get rid of it. So you could hit delete on your keyboard. You can do right click, delete, in the DOM. Okay, and that's got rid of that disabled button there. I don't want my drop down either. So you can see here, the drop down obviously has the drop down, and then it's got 2 buttons as options. So I'm just going to click on nav item drop down, right click, delete. Okay, that's gone. I'm also going to get rid of the home button. Now, you might be wondering, well, why didn't you just keep the home button? But it's because it's an active button, which means it's kind of permanently highlighted. You don't really want it to be like that. So I'm going to click on nav item active. Okay, when you click on it, you see it's highlighting what I've selected. It puts a blue box around it. And I'm going to get rid of that. Delete. Okay, now I've just got this link. There it is, nav item, nav link. And I want another one of those. So I'm going to right click on the nav item here, right click, duplicate. There we go. I've now got 2 links up here in my nav bar. As pretty as this search bar is, I don't want it. So that is this whole form here, form control, and the button. So I'm just going to click on the entire form, right click, delete. And there we go. Got a nice plain nav bar with 2 buttons that aren't linked to anything at the moment, of course. Right, I'm going to save this now. File, save. Okay. And I'm going to pop into my files. And I always get the students to do this as well. I'm going to go into, let me just collapse a few of these because it's a bit confusing what's going on here. Oh, yeah. If you see a CSS and a JS folder and you're like, hang on, I didn't make those, they automatically get popped in when you use Bootstrap. Okay, so don't delete them. You need those. So the CSS and the JS folder, you need those. Okay, so if I go into my website and if I go into my HTML, I'll just hide that asset, go into the HTML files. There's my template there. So if I double click on this now, it's going to open it up on whichever browser you've been using recently. And mine is this Chrome browser that I was using just now for StreamYard. Okay, so you can see there we go. There's my title, there's the links, and you can see they highlight when I hover over, and they are links. Okay, if I click on them, nothing happens because I haven't asked for them to do anything. But here's what's interesting. Okay, if I start resizing my browser, already keep your eye on this link here. If I resize my browser, it reached a break point. There we are. And those 2 link buttons have disappeared. And now I've got this neat little hamburger menu. Okay, and I can keep crushing it down. I can zoom in. Okay, so if I use Control Plus on my keyboard, okay. Now, WJC actually specifically talk about no horizontal scrolling at 500%, which is really specific, isn't it? So yeah, I'm at 500% zoom there now. And it's, you know, it's massive, but it works nicely. And I have not do anything to get that to work. That's just part of using Bootstrap. Okay, so if you're on the fence about Bootstrap and you're like, oh, hang on, this looks like more work, then, you know, that's the payoff that you get, is that got all these things built into it. Okay, I'll pop back to the stream for a minute and see if anybody's got a question. Got nothing new so far. Anybody got a question so far about Bootstrap or what we've done so far with the nav bar? No, it doesn't look like it. So, no, nothing. 3, 2, 1, back in the room. Let's go. Okay, so let's go back to Dreamweaver. Okay, now then. Personally, I think that the hidden page should be the evidence page. Because if you're making a website for a campsite, I don't think that it makes any sense to have a home page, hi, welcome to the campsite, and then in the main navbar have an evidence button that's got links to documents on how you made an animation. It just makes no sense to me at all. So I think it should be home button, and then a kind of, you know, whatever you want your second button to be. So booking or more info or find us, you know what I mean? Another kind of information page about the topic, so Camp Cymru in this example, and that the hidden page is the one with all the evidence. That makes way more sense to me. I know in the exemplar, the WJC exemplar, it's home and then evidence, and the hidden page is actually a page with more info about surfing. Now, I don't want to trash that, but personally, it would make more sense to me for it to be home, surfing info as your two main buttons, and then underneath the animation that you got a little link saying, click here to see the evidence of how I made this animation, and that takes you to the evidence page. Okay, so personally, if the hidden page, that we'll call it, this kind of third page that shouldn't be able to be opened from every other page, I think that should be the evidence page. Okay, now then, to change these links. Sorry, I couldn't read the word that was on the screen there twice there. To change them, just double click here in live view. Okay, and I'm just going to type home in there. And then this is going to be, it could just be information. Okay, so whatever you want your second page to be, booking for Camp Cymru could be booking with us. That kind of thing. Okay, so maybe I'll do booking for this. Okay, that makes sense to me for a campsite. We've got a home page and a booking page. Okay, cool. Now then, if they click on the home page, which HTML file will we want them to open? Okay, now I know this is weird because we're kind of planning ahead. But we need to create links for HTML pages, HTML documents that don't exist yet. Okay, so again, when you're getting them to write out and sketch out the text that's going on each page, it would be a good idea for you to have the HTML name planned out as well there. Okay, so the home page is going to be index anyway, because that's just kind of how the internet works. Okay, so that first button that says home, that is going to be opening a HTML document up called index.html. Now, I haven't made that yet, okay, but I'm making the link now before the page actually exists. Okay. So again, when you're adding your links, be careful with your DOM, with your DOM, because at the moment, I'm just in that text box home. I'm not actually editing the whole nav button itself. So to do that, I need to click on the nav item in the DOM, and it'll give me the blue box around there. Okay, take a look now right at the bottom of your screen in your properties panel. Okay, and you can see here it says link. Okay, and it's got a hash in there. And I'm just going to change that to index.html. Okay. So that button now, whenever it's clicked, is going to look for the file called index.html in the same folder as this template, and it's going to try and serve it up on your browser. Cool. Now then, booking. Well, I think it makes sense for me to call my booking page. I'm going to save that doc as booking.html, but obviously it could be different for you. It could be surfing, it could be cycling, it could be paddleboarding.html, whatever. Okay, so you want a sensible name for your second page. And then our third page is just going to be evidence, isn't it? Evidence.html. That's going to be the same for everyone. Okay, so for booking, again, I'm going to choose the nav item itself here. And down at the bottom where it says link, I'm going to get rid of that hash. And I'm going to type booking.html. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to save that off. So file, save. I'm going to pop back over to the actual web page that's open on Chrome here. Now you can see this is the old version. So that's all I need to do is refresh the browser. Okay, so here's my newer version. And now, if I click on home, my browser is going to go looking for a file called index.html in my HTML folder. Now, as we know, that doesn't exist yet, but let's see. If I click on it, it should give me an error, and it has. Okay, it's giving me this error, and that's a good thing that I've got that error because, yeah, that file doesn't exist. Yeah, and you can see here it's looking in the root website HTML files. It's looking for index.html, which doesn't exist at the moment. But once it does exist, that link will automatically open it up. Same with booking. If I click on that, it's not going to work at the moment because booking.html doesn't exist yet. But when it does, this navbar will work perfectly. Okay, back I go to Dreamweaver. And let's get our logo into the navbar. Okay, so I've got Camp Cymru written out here at the moment. And if you don't want to make a logo for your website, you can get away with maybe just having the name of the website there in text. Okay, so I'm going to put my logo in front of this text for now, and then I'm going to decide whether I want to keep the text or not. So I'm going to click there so I can get my cursor in front of that C in Camp. And now back in the Insert menu under Bootstrap Components on the right-hand side, I'm going to scroll to the second group of components. And here you'll see responsive image. Okay, and I want default. So responsive image, default. Now then, we're going to see something now that we haven't seen before, but you're going to see a lot of this little pop-up. Okay, I've said that I want to insert an image, responsive image, and I had my cursor there in front of the C. So what it's going to ask me now is, okay, do you want to put this image before this entire box, after this entire box? Do you want to wrap it around this entire box? No, it's not possible to wrap an image around a text box, so that's why that's grayed out. Or do you want to nest your image inside this box that you're currently on? So I want to do that. I want to nest it. I want to pop the image inside this orange box. So for this instance, I'm going to choose nest, and it's going to pop a gray rectangle in there, gray square in there for me. And that's just a gray image placeholder. Okay. And I now want to swap this gray placeholder for my Camp Cymru logo that I've made and that I've saved off as a PNG into my assets folder. So let's do that. Okay. I've clicked on it. So here's my rectangle, my gray square. And I'm going to go over now to the Files tab on the right-hand side. And underneath Website, I'm going to go to Assets. And there's my logo there. Okay. So how do I get that logo in that gray square? And this is probably the most fun thing you can do in Dreamweaver. Okay. And we're going to use this cool looking target here. Okay. So it's asking me, right, what's the source for this? So at the moment, the source for this is a gray placeholder square. There we go. See? Image responsive placeholder is that guy. Okay. That's why it looks like it does. So you could click on the folder and then you could go into find your documents, find your folder. Oh, this is not the fun way. Okay, root, website, assets. Okay, I'm going to cancel it because that's not the fun way. Here's the fun way. Okay, I'm going to drag this mean looking target from the source there, and I'm going to connect it to this logo that I can already see up here. Okay, so here I go. I'll zoom in and try and do this at the same time. So I'm going to click and drag. Here we go, here we go. Drag, drag, drag. It's got this blue line. Where is it? Up, up. And I'm going to drop it on there. Oops. And now it's placed my logo in there. And it's huge. So once you've done that, it looks lovely. Once you've done that, you then want to scale this to a size that makes sense. So I'm going to click on logo, and down at the bottom in the properties panel, okay, we are going to resize it. Now, at the moment we go width and height here, okay, and they are measured in pixels. Now, we're not going to leave them as pixels because that gives it an absolute size, which means that it doesn't matter what device you're on and what zoom level you're at, it's always going to be that many pixels wide. So instead, we're going to go to percentage, and I'm going to change this. Well, it was huge, so let's try 10%. Okay. Now, notice that the proportions are constrained, which means that I don't need to do 10% width, 10% height. I can just do 10% width, press enter, and it'll automatically change the height as well. Still too big, I'd say. So I'm going to go down to 5%. Okay. Maybe it's still a bit big. Oh, it's okay, isn't it? It's okay. I think maybe it's a touch big. So I'll go down again. Okay. Now, should I have made my logo smaller? Probably. Okay. But I did this 5 minutes before we came on. Why has it got this weird gap at the bottom? It's because my logo is exported on a square canvas, and I should have made it on a rectangular, or I should have trimmed it down, because even though it's transparent, that's the size of the image. So, you know, there's stuff there that I should have done better, but I rushed the logo. But it works for me. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. So looking at it now, do I need this to say Camp Cymru and then have Camp Cymru there? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this text here so that I've just got the image there for the logo. I think that looks lovely. Now then, what happens when you click on the logo on any website? It usually takes you to your home page. So I'm going to click on my logo, and down at the bottom in the properties panel, okay, we've got that's the target that we dragged there. So that's the source, but then every image can also be a link. So in there, I want this to take me to my home page. And of course, I'm saving my home page as index.html. Okay. Save it off, file, save, pop back. Oh, but days, hang on. It's just popping me up a message. And what it's saying is, do you want to copy the dependent files? Now, what that is it's automatically put that gray rectangle into an images folder somewhere in my files. And every time you want to add a new image in, it's going to use that placeholder first of all. So you can just click OK on that. Okay. It's basically asking, do you want to save that gray rectangle into your files? Yeah, go on then, pal. Do what you want. Okay, so let's pop. I've saved it. Yes. So let's pop back over. Here it is. And I'm going to refresh my page. There's my logo. There's my buttons. Let's do some crazy zooming. So up to 500%. Okay, and you can see there now that the logo is changing size because it's set as a percentage rather than an absolute pixel size. Click down. I've got my home booking there. What happens if I click on the logo? It's going to give me an error message because it's trying to open the index page, which doesn't exist yet, but will do soon. Okay, let's pop back over to StreamYard, see if we've got any questions. If you do, get typing, guys. Anything you'd like to ask, pop it in. Okay. Let's have a look. So, hi, Annette. How's it going? I created a nav bar and added a container afterwards, but the container wouldn't move down, so added text was cut off and hidden behind the nav bar. Yeah, so did you... yeah, we're going to be looking at that now. So did you add when you click insert, so you're in the insert menu, Bootstrap components, and you choose container, it should have asked you, do you want it before, after, nest? Then yeah, you want that to be after. Sounds like you did. Container, it sounds like it's popped it inside your navbar, doesn't it? Okay. And you tried adding more containers and also moving it in DOM, but no joy. Any ideas? Yeah, let's have a look at that now. So we're gonna be looking at adding containers now. Any more questions on that before I disappear from this screen? Nope. Okie dokie. So back we go to Dreamweaver. Okay. So here it is. So I'm ready now to kind of get a box in here ready for my main content. Okay. So we call those containers. And over in the insert menu, there are two different types of containers. You've got a container and a container fluid. Okay. So a container fluid will fill up, like Fluid does, it'll fill up the whole width of your browser window. Whereas a container, you can see there, it kind of gives, the icon kind of gives you a hint. It'll give you a little margin either side. Okay. Now, most of the time, you're not going to want your text slammed up against the left-hand side of your browser. You're going to want some kind of padding either side. So most of the time, you'd be using maybe a container for that. Okay. So let's add a container, and this is what Annette you were having trouble with now, and hopefully that'll start working for you now if you do it the same way as I do, or maybe I'll start having the same trouble as you did. That could definitely happen. Okay, I want to add an empty box underneath my navbar. Okay, so I'm going to click on my navbar first of all. So over here in the DOM, and what I always like to do in the DOM as well, because the DOM can definitely look confusing, is if it looks confusing, start collapsing these things. Okay. So now I can see what's going on. This is my navbar, and inside my navbar, because it's indented over, is my logo, and then I've got my buttons. Okay. So my buttons there. So I'll just collapse it all up. That's just all of my navbar is in there. Okay. So I've chosen my navbar, and you can see I've got a big blue box around the whole navbar. So now let's add a container underneath it. Okay, so I'm going to click container. It's going to ask me, where would you like to put this container in relation to this thing you've got selected? So I've got the navbar selected. So I don't want to put it in front of it, above it. I don't want to put it inside the navbar. I don't want to put it around the navbar. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you did wrap Annette, perhaps. Okay, I want to put it after. So I'm going to click after. You wait a second, and then you'll see that it'll pop that in for you there. Okay, and now I've got a container in there. Now that, as you can see, has got the padding left and right. Okay, I've got a bit of padding left and right. If I undo that, okay, I'll get rid of that container. So that's gone. And this time I'll add a fluid container. So I'll choose the navbar in the DOM, and I'll add container fluid after. You'll see that this new one, when it pops up, here it is, it goes right over to the left. Now, sometimes you see, kind of header images which totally fill the width of your browser. So then you'd be using container fluid for that. But most kind of website content, you'd be using a standard container with that padding either side. Okay, so I'm gonna pop back to a normal container. So I'm gonna undo that container fluid, choose my navbar again in the DOM. There it is, and then I'm gonna click container. So it didn't ask me. So it's put it somewhere where I wasn't expecting it. So I'm just going to undo. Okay, I'm not going to try and fix it. I probably, yeah. See, I selected body, my whole thing, rather than the navbar. So that's my mistake. So I'm going to click back then, make sure I've just got the navbar selected in the DOM, container. And it's done it again. So let's just drag it down then. If we're being silly. Okay, there we are. So I got my container there. Okay, so you can rearrange stuff in your DOM by dragging them about. Okay, I wouldn't recommend doing too much of that because you can accidentally kind of nest things inside of the things and make a mess. So I wouldn't do it unless you really know that you have to. Okie dokie. So I got my container there. And this is going to be a title. Okay. And every page is going to have a title. So I want that title on my template here. So the title, I want to format it as a heading 1. Okay. So down at the bottom in your properties panel, I got format, and at the moment it's on none. So if I choose heading, sorry for the crash zoom. If I choose heading 1, okay, it's going to set it to that. And when we look at CSS later in next week's session, we'll be looking at styling these in colors and so on. Cool. Right. So let's get another container underneath this one. So here's this container here, my heading 1 container. Okay. And I'm going to add another container. And I want it after this one. I don't want it inside this one. I want it after it. So I'm going to click after. And now, okay, it takes a little, see that it takes like 2-3 seconds before it pops up. And now I've got this container after this one. So there's my title, and here's my next container. And you can see them here. There's my header 1 in that container, and here's my new container. And this is where I'm going to actually have most of my content. Okay. And I'm going to want to split my content into, so maybe I'll have text on the left and an image on the right in one page, and then maybe on another page I'll have an image on the left, text on the right, or maybe my animation on the left, text on the right, that kind of thing. So what I want to do is I want to split this. So if you've been making websites with tables, you know what I'm talking about. I want kind of a table in here with 2 columns. Yeah, I want to split this container into 2 columns. So I can have stuff over here and stuff over here. Okay, so let's do that. To do that, I'm going to click inside this new empty container. There we are, as if I was going to type something. I could just type text straight in there like I did with title, okay, but I'm not going to do this one. I'm going to click there. So my cursor's blinking in there. And now we're going to use the 3rd component in this first set. So we've looked at container, we've looked at container fluid, and now this one, grid, row with column. So this is kind of adding in a table in a way, okay? But you can only add columns, not rows. So I'm going to click grid, row with column. And here we go. So it's asking me how many columns do you want? So this is up to you. Now, this is just my template. So I'm not going to mess around with this too much because obviously I could always tweak this on each page when I create them separately. But I think that every page on my website I'm going to want to split into 2. So I'm going to have 2 columns. And where do I want it? Well, I want to nest it inside this container that I had selected. So I'm going to click nest. And then I'm going to click OK. And there we go. It's given me a box on the left and a box on the right. Content goes here. Content goes here. Okay. So there we are. We've done that. Now, the final thing I'm going to add is a footer, really. Okay. Just with my name in it. Website by Meredith Jones. I don't think you really need a footer. It's not really asked for, but it's nice to pop one in, isn't it? Okay, so to add a footer in, there is a footer in the insert HTML. There we are. Where is it? There, footer. Okay, and it kind of tags it up as a footer. So I'm going to go for that. So I'm going to add, first of all, a fluid container because you usually want your footer to go all the way across the width of your browser. Okay, so I'm going to choose this container, this whole container with my grid in it. Go back to my Bootstrap components. I'm going to add a container fluid underneath this. Okay, so underneath this, a fluid container. So container fluid after. Okay, and there we are. It's popped up. So there we go. And in there, I want to add my footer. So I'm going to go into swap back to my normal HTML components, scroll down a footer. You'd think it would be at the bottom of the list from you, but it's not. It's at the bottom of the second set. So here's the first set, and here's the second set. Footer, and I want to nest it inside this. There we go. Okay. And I'm just going to put in here website. Right. Okay. So I've just done that in there. Cool. So you can see how that's kind of my template done. Okay. Because I'm just going to be able to duplicate this template now for my 3 pages, home, booking, and evidence. And I'll be able to change the title and add some stuff in. Okay, so this is as far as I want to go with my template at the moment. So let's save. File, save. Cool. So there we are. I've got my template. And if I pop back over. Here we go. Refresh this. It's all there. Okay. You can already see, even now, that my content, so say that this content is text and that this content is an image. When the browser window gets small enough, it's going to stack them one above the other like that. It's super cool. Or if you zoom in far enough, zoom, there we are. It's going to stack it up for you. Okay, it's 500%. No horizontal scrolling so far. Okay, back down 100%. I'm going to pop back to the chat and see if we got any questions so far. All right. So, Dom's on a break in his other session. Well, come back then. Just on a break in my other session, can everyone please score Merida's performance in this session between 1 to 10, just for quality control? Yes. Well, appreciate some 10s there, guys. Has he been going down endless rabbit holes as usual? No, come on. That's not fair. I don't do that. Just nip back. Okay, so Annette, you were having those issues, and I did after. It's not sitting under the bar. Okay. Now, I'm not trying to fob you off here, Annette, but when I get issues like that with kids, sometimes most of the time what I'll get them to do is save, and then save. I've just seen it did a comment. Annette, so if you save it, close that down. Okay, so if I just pop back, I'm saved. I'm just going to close the template page down. Go back into my files here, and then go to the HTML files, double click on template, and load it back up. 9 times out of 10, even more, that'll fix it. It's usually that something somewhere when something's saved or something's been placed that it's not looking at the Bootstrap file properly, and Dreamweaver's just having a bit of a connect, you know. So just try closing the page, go back into your HTML files, double click, open it back up, and yeah, let me know. Let me know if that's doing it for you, Annette, if that's fixing it or not. Right. So far we got some marks in. Annette has given me 20 out of 10. That's very kind. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I did. Everything's on fire. Yeah, it's burning. There we are. Let's get the lights on. It's sitting still for too long. Okay, right then, folks. We're gonna make our other pages from this template page. Okay, and see that all our navigation's working properly. And then you know, we'll all feel very nice and warm and cuddly about it. So let's get back over there and let's actually make these pages from our template. Okay, so here we go. Here's our template page. Now, it's really important before we start creating our kind of other pages that these links are correct. Okay. Now, obviously, those pages don't exist yet, but you know, I always tell my students, come on, please check these links for silly typos, because once you've made 3 pages from your template, if there is a typo, you're going to have to fix every problem 3 times rather than once we get past this point. So we're at the point now of duplicating mistakes if there are mistakes. Okay. So let's make the home page. Okay. So index.html. Let's make this page. So I'm going to click on File, and I'm going to choose Save As. So I'm going to save the template page as index.html so that I can mess about with it and turn it into my home page. So I'm going to choose Save As. And it's going to ask me, okay, what do you want to call this? Well, I don't want to call it template because we've already got one of those. I'm going to call it index.html. Yes, and it's already picked the correct folder. Well done. Brilliant. And then click Save. So now up at the top in Dreamweaver, I've got 2 tabs. I've got the template page and the index page. So the first thing I get my students to do, the very first thing I get them to do is to change this title so that it helps them know which page they're on. Okay, so this is my home page. So I make sure that I've selected index up here. And then on my home page, I'm going to want this to say, welcome to Camp Cymru! Exclamation mark. Sorry, I was zoomed in and typing. I couldn't. There we go. Okay, so welcome to Camp Cymru. And just straight away, I'm going to save. File, save. Now, I also like save. I like this button, save all. I love that. So save all, just saves every file you got open. So straight away, I'd get them now to test that their home button and the logo that they work properly. Okay, that they navigate as you'd expect them to. So I'm going to pop back over to Chrome. Here we go. Refresh. Okay, so this is my template file. So if I click on Camp Cymru here, I am expecting to see welcome to Camp Cymru come here. There it is. So this is my index.html file that's just opened up now. Okay, I'll go back. So I'm back on template.html here now, and I'm going to click on home this time. And again, I'm expecting it to take me to welcome to Camp Cymru. There we are. So I know now for a fact that when I'm duplicating my pages, that logo and that button are going to navigate properly. Okay, right. Let's make our next page then. Okay, back to Dreamweaver. So I'll go back to the template. Here it is. And I'm going to do File, Save As. And I'm going to save this as the name of my second page. Booking. Remember, these names have already been decided when you made your navbar. You can't change your mind now, okay? Unless you want to change your navbar on every page you've made. So these names have already been decided a while ago when we made the navbar. Okay, click Save. And it'll pop up a third tab here, Template Index Booking. So first things first, straight away, straight off the bat, before anybody gets a chance to make a mess, change that title to something that makes sense. Book your stay with us. Okay, and I'm going to do File, Save All. So now I got 3 buttons, 3 tabs up here. Okay. Don't worry about these tabs. Okay. I know it's what it's like. How do I get those back? Say that they disappeared and you're back here. If you want to open them up, they are all in here. See? And you're here, website, your root folder, HTML files, template, index booking. So all I need to do is double click. That'll open up template. Double click on index. I'll open up my home page really slowly. There it is. And booking. Double click. There it is. Okay, so don't be precious about these tabs up the top. If you want to close them down and open them back up, that's fine. Okay, you can always reopen them just by popping into your files and double clicking on them there. All right, let's check now then that navigation is working. So let's go back over. Here it is. Refresh. Okay, so here's index. So now this booking button should work. Click. Book, you stay with us. Home. That works. Go back to booking. That works. What if I'm on booking and I will click on the logo? That should take me back to home. It does. Okay. So if I'm on home and I click on the logo, it's just going to reload it. And you can see if you keep your eye just up here, it does reload it super quick. Okay. So notice that I'm really stress testing the navigation before I've really done anything much on the web page itself. Okay. And the reason for that is simple, is that, again, now would be a much easier time to fix problems than after I've made my pages. Okay. If it came to the crunch, I could just delete the index and booking page, go back to the template, fix my mistakes, and just save them as again, rather than go in and maybe fix a problem 3 times on the nav bar. But once you've filled your page with stuff, then you're going to be attached to it and you're really not going to want to delete it. And you're going to have to then go through and fix things step by step, which is horrible. Let's check zoom again. Up to 500%. Okay. No horizontal scrolling. Can't scroll left and right because everything stacks up nice and tidily there. Got my drop down. Okay. Oh, okay. That's a Chrome thing. Just changed my zoom level when I went to a different page. Okay, but that's fine there. I'll do it again. Oh, no, there we are. Fine. Okay, cool. Back up, down to 100%. Now then, let's sort out this third page that isn't meant to appear in the navigation anywhere. All right. Oh, actually, let's pop back to StreamYard just for a second. I hope you had a bit of joy then, Annette, after you closed down and reopened the file. You haven't left any messages for me, but I hope that worked. Oh, sorry, I've got its comment just up for the last 20 minutes. Sorry about that. It was a good one though, so you know. Okay, so let's make this kind of hidden page, the evidence page itself. Okay, so I'll pop back and let's get into Dreamweaver. Okay, so I'm going to put this on my homepage. Okay, so I'm going to pop over to index here. Now I will have my animation on my homepage at one point. So I'm going to add another container underneath this one. Okay, so here's my container with the row and the column. So I'm going to click on that container. There it is, big blue box. And I'm going to go to Insert menu, back to my Bootstrap components, and I'm going to just add a container underneath it. Okay, container after. Okay, cool. So on my homepage, this is my homepage. I'm going to type some text in here now, and I'm going to say, click here to see the evidence, not to see how I made this animation, to see how this animation was made. Okay, cool. So, and then this is going to take us to our third kind of the hidden page, is how I like to think of it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight the word here. And you see it's popping up bold, italic, and a hyperlink. Yay! So you can click there on the hyperlink icon, or you can just come down with any text selected down here to link in the properties panel, and I prefer that for some reason. And in here, I'm going to link it to a page that I haven't created yet called evidence.html. Evidence.html. Once you do that and click away, it has turned the word here into a lovely hyperlink. Okay. So now that's linking to a page that doesn't exist yet called evidence.html. So let's make that. Let's save this first. You see the little asterisk there, index.html. That asterisk is telling me that I've done stuff here that needs saving. So it's file, save all. Okay, let's go back to the template. File, save as. Save my template as evidence. Save. Here we go. And I'm on evidence.html here. And I'm going to click here once it loads up. There it is. I'm going to change the title straight away to animation, or just, what am I going to call it? Just evidence, I suppose. Evidence links. Yeah, evidence links. That makes sense. Okay, and I'm going to click save all. File, save all. Everything saved. Back to Chrome. Refresh. So Here's my home. There's my little hyperlink. Booking. That's behaving. Click on my logo. Take me back to home. Click on here. Click here to see how this animation was made. And here I'm on my evidence doc, on my evidence webpage. And what's cool about this is, well, I can only get to this page from the home page. Yeah, I need to be on home page to be able to click here to see the evidence. If I'm on booking, there's no way of going from booking directly to evidence. Okay, I can't do it. And that's exactly what the spec has asked for us to do. Okay, so that you can't get to every page from every other page. Okay, so again, you see, I'm just stress testing my navigation before I fill my web pages up with fun stuff. Okay, speaking of fun stuff, let's get some images in. Okay, so, any comments? Any comments? I'll pop back for a second, and if there are comments, we'll address them. Net, it didn't work completely, but it has improved. Diolch. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened there then, Annette. That's a funny one, isn't it? It's improved. Yeah. When funny stuff happens, I always tell the students in my class, look, don't try and fix it. If something's weird has happened, just undo. Okay, just go back, undo what you were doing, and try it again, rather than, oh, that's gone in the wrong place. Let's drag stuff about, because that always ends up making more of a mess, doesn't it? Okay, right. Let's go and let's get the images in here. Let's get some text in so these actually start looking like web pages. Okay. Here's Dreamweaver. Okay, so I'm going to just go now to my homepage. Is the index. And on my homepage, I think I'm going to have the text on the left and I'm going to have an image on the right. So you know how we put an image in. We did it with the logo. I'm going to click there before the C, before the content goes here. Okay, click there. And I'm going to go Insert, Responsive Image Default. And I want to nest it in there in front of that let to see where I had my cursor. So I'm going to click Next. And our good old friend, the gray square, is going to come back. And get rid of this content goes here text now because it has served its purpose. And I'm going to click on the gray square. And I'm going to point that to one of my 3 images that I downloaded before the session. So here we go. In my files under assets, I got these 3. Okay. Now, maybe you'd save them with better file names like, you know, page 1 image or index image, booking image, evidence image. You know, that would be a better plan because these are really badly named at the moment. But you get it. Okay, so I've clicked on the gray square, and then I'm going down to the properties panel. Here's my source, and I'm going to drag the target up to the first image there. Drop it, and it's going to swap that image out for this one here. Okay, so it looks lovely. Now, it's already responsive, so I don't particularly need to do anything with it. You have got a hamburger menu here, so if you wanted to, you could mess about with things here, but you can see it's already responsive. That's already ticked. So I don't usually do anything in here at all. I'll leave it as it is. Okay. If you wanted to change the size, now you could say, especially with portrait images like this, they can sometimes look too tall. So if you wanted to make it smaller, basically what you need to do is you need to grab this column and make it smaller like this, okay? And then I'm going to click in the text column on the left, and then I'm going to use this handle here to push that back over, you see? So if you want to resize images, you kind of, if you want to make whatever you want to make smaller first, and then expand the other side, if that makes sense. Okay, so I made this smaller first by dragging this to the left, and then I went to the text box and I dragged that to the right to push the image back out to the edge of the container. Okay, so I don't have any text for this, so let's lorem ipsum it. Okay. I always use this in class as well, because otherwise I just get kids copying my work. So let's just get 3 paragraphs. Generate. There we go. Ooh, that's a lot. Maybe 2. Okay, just grab those first 2 paragraphs, copy that, and then back to Dreamweaver. I'm just going to click in here where it says content goes here, and I'm just going to paste that in there. Oops, let's try again. Get rid of this text. There we go. Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, so I'm just going to, there we go. And I like using this, so just placeholder text, Latin placeholder text, because I think it gives them a good idea of what you expect from them in terms of volume. Now, I know it's quality, not quantity, but, oh, gosh, sometimes you just don't get anything new. So I said, okay. There we go. So that looks lovely. Okay, I got my image, got some texture, and then I got this click here to see how the animation is made button down the bottom there. Save that. File. Save all. Let's jump over to the booking. Here we go. Here's booking, and I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do an image on the left. So I'm going to click here before content goes here, and I'm going to go to my insert menu. I'm going to do a responsive image. Nest. There it is. And this one, I'm going to drag to the second image. So just down to the source, grab the target, up to the second image. There it is. I don't need this content goes here. So I'm just going to highlight that. Get rid of it. And then, they would have prepared their text in a Word doc. And they would then just be going to the Word doc, grabbing the text for the second page and pasting it straight in. Something like that. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to do save all again. File. Save all. Go over to my evidence page. And, it's nice to have an image. I'm going to have an image on my evidence page. All my students have as well. Otherwise, it's very dry, isn't it? So I'm going to do insert, responsive image, nest it into the right this time. Okay, get rid of that. Don't need that. Click on the image. And then go to my files, drag the target onto the third image. Lovely. Okay, and then here then we'll have links to all our documents. And I think we'll be going over that in our next session. Let's save this off and see how it behaves. So save all. Pop back over to Chrome. And here we are. So if I go to my home, got my image there, got the text, got that link down the bottom. What happens if my browser gets smaller? Look at that. First thing it did was it makes that image smaller. And then when it hits a further point there, it's now pushed the image underneath the text. And now it's just, see? It doesn't matter what you do, it looks lovely. Let's try it with some crazy zoom. All the way up to 500%. All my text, and then a perfectly resized image. Yeah, no horizontal scrolling there at all. And that is the beauty of Bootstrap. Check our links then. I know they work, but let's check because I like showing off. Booking. It's nice. Yeah, the image on the other side, so you can feel that we're on a different page. Click on the logo, takes us back to the home page. Let's go to the evidence links. There we are. We'll put those links in next week. Okay. Click back to booking. Can I get to evidence from here? No, I can't. So WJC will be delighted about that. And there we are. Okay. So back on Dreamweaver, That's all you need to do when you're done with your session is just file, save all. Okay, and I'll just close these tabs down, and that's done. Now, when we're back on the next session, I don't really need to touch the template file anymore, do I? When I'll be working on them from now on, kind of we'll be just using these, and the only time I'll go back to the template is when I want to change the CSS. So when we're adding the styling, we'll do that to the template, and then we'll apply that style across the other 3 pages as well then. Okay, so I'll pop back now to the stream and see if we've got any questions at all from what we've done today. So Annette, yeah, so you've been on a quest this evening, Annette. I put a fake placeholder in and moved it all down, so at least I can see all the text. Yeah, there's something really bizarre gone on with that file, hasn't it? So you might be on a let's start again maybe sometimes when you're in a mess. Any comments? Any questions? What do you think of Bootstrap generally? What are your thoughts? You know, are you watching it and you're thinking, oh gosh, this looks horrible? Or I genuinely like using it. Once I've noticed with my students, once they realize, okay, I need to click here, and then I need to click what I want to add, and then I need to specifically tell Dreamweaver where I want to add it, whether it's before or after this thing that I've got selected. Once they kind of get in the groove of that, then they fly on Dreamweaver with Bootstrap, I find. And, you know, once you've got your template and they're copying, pasting from templates, and then it's just a matter of, right, okay, get your images in. Okay, get your text in. They go from not having anything to having a website in nearly one session. You know, we've done 1 hour 20 here, and you know we've pretty much got a website. What we've got there, you could hand that in as it is and get a tidy mark, I think. Oh, we obviously need, we'd need to put the animation in and all that, but you don't need to do much in terms of styling it. And we won't be. We'll be looking at changing some fonts, text alignment. You know, like the footer really needs to be in the middle, not slammed over to the left. And we look at changing the color scheme in the nav bar because it is a bit of a dull gray. And that's about it. Okay, we won't be going crazy with CSS because that only leads to terrible looking websites usually. Okay, so I hope you've had some good info out of this session. I hope it hasn't been too boring without Dom and his witty repartee going on. So next session, what's coming up? Well, we need to get the animation in. Okay, we need to get the animation into the website. We need to get the links in the evidence page. Okay, and then we are going to look at the CSS, and that's it. Now, Annette, you actually, right back at the beginning, the first comment, you asked, okay, how do we save and export the website? And you don't. Okay, that's the answer to that. By having our folder structure set up properly to begin with, you actually send this entire folder to WJC, and you've already got in there now in your root folder underneath the website, all the HTML files are already there. Okay, if I pop back to my screen here, okay, we can see there we've got the root folder, and underneath website, got HTML, and there we are. There are your pages. Okay, so we don't actually export from Dreamweaver at all. When you're creating your web pages on Dreamweaver, you're actually creating the finished web page in the correct place right from the beginning. So we don't actually export anything. So when it comes to it, if you've done Unit 2 and used that file structure all through the unit, and between you and me, guys, I have not done that with this year's Year 11. Okay, their stuff is all over the place, and we need to get it all sorted out into folders. But Year 10, I'm starting off with a file structure, and everything they do is getting saved into the correct folder from the beginning. when it comes to actually sending your work off to WJC, it is literally a case of grabbing that root folder, right-clicking it, compressing it, sending it off. That's it. Nothing needs to be exported. Everything that they want will be there. Okay? So, it's imperative that we stick to that folder structure. And as I said, that folder structure will be there on this week's folder as well, along with the slides that I went through at the beginning of the session. Okay, so it's been an hour and a half. I really appreciate you guys that turn up week in, week out, and I really appreciate comments that you pop in. I can't believe that you give up your time to listen to me, to be honest. So it really means a lot. So go home and have a lovely Tuesday evening.